What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Mick Manhattan for SceneSnobs.com, and this is the Scene Snobs podcast, and I am the Scene Snob. So, coming out, and we got a big show for you. We got a lot of stuff going on. I got my notes here, so if I'm looking down, don't mind me. I'm just trying to keep on top of everything. So I want to start off the show like I've always been starting off the show since it started, and that's with The Watchmen, because I've been just enamored with this show. It's beautiful and amazing, and just the pinnacle of television, in my opinion. And we last week, this past Sunday, was the second to last episode, so we have the season finale coming up on this Sunday. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see where it's going. This was a show that very much gave you a lot of answers and has opened it up to see probably a very thrilling ending. So this episode is called A God Walks into a Bar, I should say, which is the play on words of her Angela's last name being Abar and meaning Dr. Manhattan, which was the twist at the end of the last episode that we saw. So he walks in, and it starts. The whole story revolves around their first meeting, with Angela and Dr. Manhattan's first meeting, where he tells her, "I'm in love with you. I've always been in love with you," because of the way he deals with time. It's all relative. So he's experiencing everything in his life that he went through. So definitely, just we got so many answers from this too. Towards like what their lives were like, why they got together, what happened, why he's in love with her. We got where it's going, but you don't know how it'll end. Tragically, we kind of assume. I'm hoping for a happy ending, but he tells her throughout, he's like, we get together, we love each other, we go through our lives together, and it will end tragically. So she kind of comes to grips to this whole conversation because she's intrigued by him. She doesn't believe him at first to be Dr. Manhattan, and then through it starts to come around and realize that she's starting to fall for this guy. There's a curiosity there, but there's also an attraction. And where does that leave her? Where does she go from this point forward? Especially knowing from the beginning it's going to end in a tragedy. So we also get his backstory, where he's been, and that he wasn't on Mars, and where that came from, and what he built. Basically, he built the life on Europa, the moon in Jupiter. He built the place that Ozymandias is living, and we've been thinking Ozymandias is a prisoner for so long, but in reality, this was supposed to be his heaven. This was supposed to be where he would go and be worshipped, and it was just fantastically played by Jeremy Irons, the whole thing, and to find out why the clones are who they are was wonderful, and really adds another level to Dr. Manhattan, who, they play up in the book, but they give hints. Like Alan Moore does give hints in the book, and the movie did this really well, I thought. He does care. Everybody thinks that he doesn't care about humanity, but he does. There are scenes. It's just that he doesn't involve himself, because he doesn't think that changing anything would make a difference. And it just kind of the philosophy of how it plays out, but it is beautiful how they do it. And but this show shows you he cares. This show shows you he's willing to give up everything because he fell in love and he realized what love is. And from that point forward, how he's played flawlessly by Yahya Mateen Abdul II. Sorry if I screwed up that name. I am a big fan though. So he's perfect. And it's funny because the movie, Billy Crudup did such an amazing job in the movie. Like, for so long, all you can picture is Billy Crudup. It's not even like this is who Dr. Manhattan is. Like, you read the book, and then you you see the movie, like it's now taken over um, by Yaya, and he plays it perfectly, and it breaks your heart in a lot of ways, and it ends explosively. This episode was just it went from 0 to 60 in an hour. It took you that time because yeah, you see some hints of what's going on and action and such, but you get to the end and you're like, what it like you took me on this journey and what's going on here. So it's a beautiful thing, and I loved this episode, especially considering I was kind of underwhelmed with the last episode. Loved the ending, but throughout the episode I was just kind of underwhelmed by it. Um, but this episode and the sixth episode are probably my favorites, and that is the Red Hood centric episode, and this being a Dr. Manhattan centric episode. So perfect. Watch it if you're not watching it. You don't have to read the book, but I would read the book just to kind of, just because it's a great book and, give you so much more depth to it. Onto that, there's a there's a lot I want to talk about, but a few topics. But I did want to touch down. I know in the last episode I talked about the teaser for No Time to Die, but then the trailer came out, of course, the next day. But the episode was already up by then. But I was, oh my God, this trailer! I cannot wait to see where this goes. It's been such a beautiful ride with Daniel Craig. This is what I want James Bond to be, the action-packed uh, type of movie and show, type of storytelling, I should say. Sorry, trying to catch my words, but so it's sad to see him go because it's been such an interwoven, perfect unity of things, kind of adding all up, and then with Spectre, which in my opinion is the weakest so far, but was still really good. Skyfall being my favorite. Um, Casino Royale was fantastic. Quantum of Solace, a lot of people say that was the weakest. That's a personal favorite of mine. I really loved it. And I loved how it played out. So, No Time to Die just looks amazing. There's another 007. I think she's playing 007. I had heard in rumors that she's the new 007. I don't have her name in front of me at the moment, but in the trailer she introduced herself as a 00. So she might be another 00. I'm not sure. She might be the new 007. Not sure how they're working this out. But with that trailer looks fantastic. But then we also got the Wonder Woman 1984 trailer. So the second Wonder Woman movie. It was completely. I loved the first Wonder Woman. I thought it was fantastic. This next one might be fun. I hope it is. But I've been let down by the DC movie universe for so long that I'm a little frightened and apprehensive about even trusting it going forward, because I really hope they don't screw this up. And it looks great, like it's beautiful looking. Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, I believe, Mandalorian fame, many other things, but I'm so hitched on the Mandalorian right now. He looks like he's playing Maxwell Lord, and then we have Kristen Wiig playing Cheetah. That is a little. I just don't know that Cheetah's a character that's strong enough to be a villain for a movie. So, and it's not even Kristen Wiig. I mean, it is still a little like, you have this comedic actress playing this villainous role, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be too dark of a role. So I can't wait to see it, check it out. But by the trailer, I was a little underwhelmed by it. So I will save my reservations until after I see the movie. But the trailer did not grab me the way I think it grabbed a lot of people, and it didn't really draw me in. So hopefully it's good. It's cool to see Chris Pine back, Captain Kirk. One of the best. Love it. But then we get into another trailer that just came out. A truly amazing trailer. that I am very excited to talk about, and I'm kind of going to touch down on this a little bit, and that is the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. So we finally got it. We finally got a trailer for this movie. Ever since it was announced that Jason Reitman was taking over, Ivan Reitman's son. I like Jason Reitman. I like his movies. I like Juno, Up in the Air. I really loved those. Probably one, my favorite movie of his. That was a really good take on the recession and what was going on at that time. I was just really excited for this, and I still am, and I can't wait. Of course, it's Ghostbusters. I love how they're tying it in. But when I had heard that it was going to be more about it's going to be a family unit, they're very vague in their terminology when it came to the rumors that it's going to be about family, it's going to be about this, and I was like, are they related? What's going on? How's this work? Why are they in Nebraska? It looks like, and I think it still is Nebraska. I'm not sure, but might be Idaho or something like that. But it's definitely a Midwestern country, and it's about this family. I don't remember the actress' name. I believe she was the actress from who played Nucky's wife on Boardwalk Empire, and she's a great actress. So I'll be excited. But I didn't look up on it, but I believe it's her. And then Finn Wolfhard, and I don't know who the little girl is. I have to look her up too. She looks familiar to me though. It looks like they're a family that's kind of down on their luck financially. The father's not there. Don't know what's going on with him or if he died or they think they just said like, oh, he's not around. So we get to they just moved to a small town in this dilapidated farmhouse, and that her grandfather owned, or her father. I think it was her grandfather. Grandfather passed away or something. Or no, it was her dad. It was the kid's grandfather. I'm sorry. It was her father left it to her. So that's all she had. So she moved there. And then as things go on, it's kind of, there's some strange occurrences going on, some ghostly things. And then the little girl finds a ghost trap that was stuck in like the floorboards through a puzzle. Brings it to school. Paul Rudd plays a science teacher in the town. He sees it and he's like, "Oh my god, this is a great replica." Blah blah blah. And she's like, "Replica of what?" He's like, "A ghost trap." And then he kind of explains to her. He's like, New York and was The Walking Dead. I think he called it, which is kind of I guess it's a topical comparison, but so he talks about that, and they kind of go from looking at some video of the Ghostbusters and things like that, kind of roaming around in New York, and then they go to no, excuse me. So then she kind of finds the like a underground like laboratory. It kind of looks like. And there's proton packs, there's so many different things, specimens, stuff like that. And then they kind of give you they give you the reveal that it's Egon's granddaughter. It's his family, it's his daughter and his grandkids. So she's finding this stuff. Finn Wolfhard goes out to the barn and finds the Ecto-1, takes for a joyride, through the cornfields or whatever out there, and I think it was wheat fields actually, but drives it around, and then it all kind of culminates to building up. You don't see any of the original cast in it, but like things are starting to come. Like you kind of get glimpses of stuff. You get glimpses of Slimer. You get glimpses of. I don't want to say it's Gozer's Pets, but you see a big giant paw kind of come down on Paul Rudd's car, with the sounds, and it looks very familiar. So interesting to see where that goes. We get the kids driving the Ecto-1, and then the little girl has a proton pack on, and you find out the Ecto-1 has a gunner seat, and she flies out, and she starts blasting because I guess it looks like they're chasing Slimer through the town, and she's kind of zapping everything while Finn Wolfhard's driving. So interesting. It's definitely interesting. Again, anxious to see where this goes. This is kind of a uh, it's such an interesting take. The fact that they made it's nice homage to Egon. The fact that they made them Egon's grandchildren, and they're finding his ghostbusting equipment. She does have the PKE meter. That's how she finds the underground lab. There's a fire pole in it. It's pretty cool. Again, how they kind of do everything. And my guess is that Egon figured out that, because it looks like some kind of beam of light comes up from this like mine shaft or cavern or something, and it's just kind of blasting into the sky. So my feelings are this town is going to be like a hub for ghosts, and that's why Egon was living there. And because they do mention in it that ghost sightings haven't been around for 30 years. So you're guessing, all right, after number 2, they probably haven't seen many ghosts. And Egon probably moved to this town thinking, all right, there's like a hellmouth or something here. I'm calling it a hellmouth. They didn't say that in the trailer. But, and he's just there to kind of check it out. And, he just kind of lived by himself after that. Or I'm assuming he had a wife, he had a kid, right? So, something along those lines, who knows? So, be cool if you got Janine. But it was definitely interesting to see the gunner seat, because it started to make me wonder. Like, a few things I'm skeptical about was when the kids were driving around the town and she was just blasting everything. I was like, all right, now I'm not saying it's not cool to see, but I want to know the direction they're taking Ghostbusters. So, because the cool thing about Ghostbusters was these were just a bunch of guys, like, scientists who were kind of wide-eyed and willing to get out there and bust ghosts. Bust what they knew would be true and everybody else didn't know to be true. So, but the ghosts were like, even like looking silly at some points, like, yeah, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Slimer was supposed to be kind of a send up to John Belushi, like, so they didn't all look, truly scary or anything, but they were taken seriously. They were real threats. And I really liked that about Ghostbusters. And I don't think they took that seriously in the remake. And I think that's where it kind of fell short. They got heavy-handed with a lot of things, but it was because at least in the original movies, like, not even the second one as much. The second one got a little ham-fisted. But in the original, I think it works so well in the original because everything their experiences is a real threat. That's the way they treated it. Yeah, yes, there's these fantastical things going on, but it's a real threat, and they are frightened. You do feel their fright along with feeling the comedy of it. So I was just kind of hoping it would be. I'm hoping that this one does that. I'm hoping it's not, let's take the characters seriously and make more fun of the ghosts and things like that. But, I mean, the characters can be serious, or they can be funny, or they can be whatever they need to be. But if you take, it's kind of like, my connection to it, in a way, is, if you take Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and I've heard this before, but I've read this too, and I've always seen it myself. The reason that works is, yeah, it's funny as hell. You have Abbott and Costello being Abbott and Costello, but they're never making fun of the monsters. The monsters are a real threat. It is true horror. It's just these two goofy characters that are in there. Now, when you get to Ghostbusters, you have some goofy characters, and you have some funny, sarcastic characters, and you have everybody around these characters is taking it seriously. Whether they believe it or not, like Walter Peck, things like that. Like, he doesn't believe in them, but he's taking it very seriously. It's, ghosts don't exist. What's wrong with you? You can laugh at me, you can joke, you can do whatever you want, but they don't exist, and I'm going to take you down. Now these characters also take everything seriously. They take the threat seriously, the whole 9 yards. So watching it, watching this trailer, I was like, it started off like they were kind of taking it seriously, and then it kind of seemed like they were going into kind of a Goonies type situation, where sometimes you didn't feel like, you just love the characters, you love the adventures of that movie, even like Bill and Ted, you love the adventures of that movie. You never felt like they were in any real harm. Yeah, there were things that could have harmed them, but you never felt they were in any real harm. Ghostbusters, you did feel like they could be in real harm. I'm not saying that they would die, but it wasn't a straight out horror movie, but you did feel like there was something threatening them. So this trailer, I didn't get that. I didn't get that it felt like there was something threatening them. It kind of felt like there was an adventure they were going on, like a Goonies type situation. And I don't know that will work for Ghostbusters. So I'm skeptical. I'm excited. It looks awesome. I think Ivan Reitman got it. So talking to his son, who's taking over, who is a very talented filmmaker and a good storyteller himself, I think they got it. I've been burned. 2016 burned me, and other reboots and such. So let's just see what happens. This is the third Ghostbusters that we've been waiting for a long, long, long time. And I just hope it's done properly. Now, I didn't see it coming that it would be Spangler's family. I did not see that coming at all. When they said this was a movie about family, and they were being vague about it, and I was like, so it's just some family that kind of stumbles across Ghostbusters, but why is it out there? Why is it in New York? Blah, 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 blah. And I was always kind of, what is going on here? And trying to keep up with it. And then when the reveal of this is Spangler's family, I was like, oh, that works. I was like, both these kids look like they're Spangler's grandkids, definitely. Finn Wolfhard, come on. He looks like a Spangler. So, I am very excited to see where it goes. I kind of hope they involve the original cast more than just cameos. I'm kind of hoping they get through this big thing. They kind of get it over their head, but they're working on it and they're doing it. And now, yes, they should remain the main focus because that's who the story's about. Not taking that away. I don't mind that the focus goes to other people. I don't mind that at all. It's not about, well, move out of the way, here are the old Ghostbusters. I don't want that. But what I would like is guidance, almost. How many times did they say in the originals, it's an unlicensed nuclear reactor on your back? It's not for kids, and then you see kids blasting a town. That's to me where they didn't take it seriously. And they did take it seriously in the originals. So I'm hoping some things kind of open up with it and it goes from there, and maybe the team comes back for the big baddie, whatever's going to happen, but it's more in a guidance, mentoring type capacity. I'm interested to see how it works, but I hope they're not. I'm not saying they have to be in the whole movie. I don't need to see that. I've seen that where they were all in the whole movie, and I get they're older men now. But if you're going to bring them back in a capacity where they make a difference. Not where they just come in and they're like, good job, kids. You saved this town. You stopped this hellmouth or whatever it is from opening up. Come in with guidance and be like, we did this. We'll help you. We'll get you there. And see where it goes from there. I would like to see that. I think that's where you would take it seriously. So, anxious to see how it works out. I swear to God, if we get Bill Murray in there in a cameo shot on the TV hosting a show, and that's it, I'm going to be pissed. Sorry, I'm going to be pissed. Just come out. come out, show some guidance. It would be great. It will definitely be interesting to see where it goes. But with that being said, I don't want to tear it apart because it still looks amazing, and it's so much for fan service. Um, we got our Ecto One back. We got the proton packs. Got the PKE meter. Got the ghost trap. We got footage of them walking in New York City. We got so much. We got a wonderful gushing over the Ghostbusters from Paul Rudd. So I'm excited to see where this goes. And I will be there opening night, definitely. I can't wait. But, I do, I can't wait to hear more about it and see where it's coming from. But that's where I'm at with that. Now, the big story I want to talk about tonight is we have a huge event going on TV right now. Well, I thought it would be huge, but we'll see. It's not over yet. The first 3 nights have happened so far, and that is the Crisis on Infinite Earths. DC TV shows is doing it, a crossover event. So, by DC TV shows, I mean, we have Supergirl, which was the first night, Batwoman, which is the second night. We have Black Lightning, which ties into it, but his show wasn't Crisis-centric. You really only got a glimpse of the Crisis towards the end. But his character shows up in The Flash, which was on tonight. And then that was the mid-season finale. And then it comes back in January with, it's going to be Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know which one starts it off first, whether it's Arrow or Legends of Tomorrow, but I think Arrow is where it's going to end. And I'm pretty sure that's the last episode of Arrow. Which makes sense. Because I know they're going to be doing a new show next year with, if you're following the show or not, like basically it's Felicity and Oliver's daughter becomes the Green Arrow, which you see in this Crisis. Like, she'll have her own show. So it's going to be her. It's going to be kind of like a new Birds of Prey show, which is ironic. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But, so I forget his daughter's name. I'm kind of all over the place. There's so much going on. And, but, so they're going to be doing that. So she's kind of taking over the mantle of the Green Arrow. So we start off on Supergirl. So basically, if you don't know what Crisis of Infinite Earths is, it was a 1985 series of stories for DC. Basically, DC Comics was just overblown. DC Comics had been going on for like 50 or 60 years at that point. And there's so many stories, so many characters, so much going on. Everything was just kind of, especially in the 50s, kind of just everything sprawls out and is all over the place. And if you wanted to be a comic book fan back then, you had to figure out what to follow, where everything was going. There's so many characters. Nobody knew anything. Like, you couldn't keep up. You couldn't keep up what was going on in the whole universe. I read Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, and that was really about it. And Justice League, I kept up with all of them. But because it was so big, like, a lot of things fell through the crack that I read later in life, like the Teen Titans turning into the Outsiders and so on and so forth. And but I did read Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that's where the writers and the editors at DC turned around and were like, we're going to set up a storyline. And they did early on. Gotta give them credit. They knew like quite a few years ahead of time before it got to this point that we're going to set this up. And basically that was a character called the Anti-Monitor was destroying the entire multiverse. It was trying to destroy all the Earths in the not just all the Earths, but the universe. But for this, we're just focusing on Earth-centric. So he was trying to destroy all the Earths in the multiverse. And he was doing it. And now, because there were so many characters all over the place, some existed on different Earths and stuff like that. And so when they were taking them out and destroying those Earths, you're essentially rebooting and getting rid of those characters. And a lot of superheroes died. A lot of people died in the book. Just kind of setting up for a new universe where they kind of rebooted and they could go back to things. Like they kill Supergirl in the book. And the whole purpose for that was to bring it back to Superman being the last son of Krypton again. Like he was the final child, and they kill Barry Allen Flash to make room for Wally West Kid Flash. So, that's how, it plays out in that way. So that way you get to, you had this Kid Flash step up into the mantle to be Flash. Jay Garrick still survived, but he kind of stepped out after that. So then you really only had one Flash, where before then you had three, and that was a lot, so they wanted to kind of spruce him up. So they killed off Barry Allen. And just so much more. But now they have been hinting at this since the Flash TV show that they were going to do a Crisis. Now, I remember on the TV show, I think it was 2024 was the date that they had said. And I remember seeing that one, watching the pilot, and I'm like, that's ambitious. As soon as you saw Crisis, you're like, whoa, all right. So we're getting Crisis. We're like, this is the mecca in DC of what storytelling was, and a huge crossover, and still, in my opinion, probably the biggest and most profound crossover. Very close second, I would say, is Infinity Gauntlet was huge, but the book, as great as it was and as iconic as it was made more popular by these movies now in this generation. Secret Wars was really popular. Civil War, so much. But to me, I think Crisis on Infinite Earths really led to that being a thing. Really led to this huge crossover event where you had all the heroes having to deal with this huge problem. And you didn't really see anything in comics like that before. So when they had mentioned it on The Flash, you're like, and The Flash vanishing, you're like, oh man, all right, that's a logical conclusion. It's like, because I think it was like 2014 when it started, so that would have been 10 years at the time. And it was like, all right, if the show goes 10 years, all these shows in the Arrow universe goes that long, that'd be great. And Flash opened up the door, like as much as I liked Arrow, Flash opened up the door for, parallel universes. He was the one that connected with Supergirl in the beginning. And she lived on Earth 38, and he was on Earth 1. And so you were getting all these different universes and this connection to them through the Flash. And he was kind of explaining it all. So the narrative, definitely started with the Flash, to get to Crisis. So it's opened up. The world is opened up huge. And now the movies are connected. Now, they haven't done it yet, and I can hold on to hope for the last two episodes. But I will say right now, the movie universe now is not connected in any way. They haven't brought it in. We'll see what happens. There's some things I really liked about this. More so the fanfare than the story. Because it feels like, yeah, they got what Crisis on Infinite Earths, the book, had done. I say book, but it was actually a series. Had done for comics back in that time, especially in DC Comics, to kind of clean things up. But it feels to me like, yeah, they may clean some stuff up, maybe keep everything to one Earth, maybe two Earths, we'll see. I don't know, though, because it looks like they're going to kind of put everything back in place. It's a very ambitious story. It's very cool how they, like I said, with the fanfare, they pulled a lot in. Just to kind of give you, if you're not a fan of the shows, or even if you are, just kind of, and you haven't touched down on it yet, we have the main players. We have Green Arrow, we have Flash, we have Supergirl, who are the big three in this universe, even though there is a Superman, and he is on Supergirl sometimes. I know they wrote him like he's on a different planet or whatever, and that gets blown up in this, and he's living with Lois and his kid and whatnot. But we get, we have the Legends of Tomorrow, which Dina Lance and John Constantine. Arrow's daughter is in it. She's going to be the one that takes up the mantle, who's been on Arrow this season. Ray Palmer, the Atom, the Elongated Man. Just trying to think of everybody that's in it. Batwoman. I can't believe I missed on Batwoman. Batwoman in it. And just so much more. So, going on, the Monitor, who is the antithesis to the Anti-Monitor, and he's trying to save the world, and realizes he has to pull together all these heroes, especially these 7 Paragons, as they call them in the show. And to give you, before I go over everything I liked about it and the different worlds and stuff like that and the fanfare they had, the 7 Paragons are hope, courage, truth, destiny, humanity, love, love, and honor. 7. There you go. There's the 7. So it turns out to be Batwoman is courage, Supergirl's hope, Superman, Christopher Reeve's universe, who is played by Brandon Routh, who took over in Superman Returns, but he was very much a continuation of the Christopher Reeve Superman, is playing Truth. Then we have Flash is playing Love, Martian Manhunter's playing Honor, Dina Lance, who's a character from Arrow, who was the original Black Canary, but then became the White Canary. Now shown Legends of Tomorrow is playing Destiny, which kind of makes sense how she travels to her destiny and how it worked out if you watch the show. So Destiny kind of makes sense in that sense. But then you have Ryan Choi, who is Humanity, who's covering Humanity. And that is played by Asric Chow. He played Kevin on Supernatural, if you're any Supernatural fans like I am. So he's a human, he's a scientist, and he is playing Humanity. Not much came from him, so we don't know what role he's ultimately going to play, but he's one of the Paragons. You have Lex Luthor running around, played by John Cryer, and he gets this thing called the Book of Destiny, which he can kind of rewrite history, which is interesting because then he uses it to go off to kill all the Supermans in a different multi-universe. And you get a very iconic picture of Lois laying next to Superman with the cape on the stick, just like in Death of Superman. It was a very iconic image, and I dug it. Then you get... So, to go with the fanfare, I kind of, now that I told you who the Paragons are and where it's going to go from there, because they are the ones that are going to go forward, and they're the ones that are going to save the multiverse. From what I understand, everybody else is dead. I'm just gonna spoil that for you right now. Everybody else is dead. So, we get in the very first shot of Supergirl, the very first episode, we get Batman 89. We got Robert Wool sitting on a park bench reading a Gotham newspaper, and the sky is red. That means that Earth is about to be destroyed. And he looks up and you see the 89 Batman symbol in the sky. And he's like, oh, I hope you're there listening, big guy. And then that Earth is gone. But it adds to it. We have Batman 89 is now canon with everything in the shows. Again, the only thing that hasn't been connected, and I don't know if it's going to be yet, but the only thing that isn't connected is the current line of movies. So they connect everything else though. So then we get we go to a few different spots. Like we get I forget what it is, but you get the Ray flying around and that world gets destroyed, and then we get to Batman 66, or Earth 66 is what they call it. So it's Earth 89, Earth 66, kind of correlation, makes sense. And then you have Burt Ward walking his dog, kind of in a Technicolor Robin colored type shirt, walking past. He has his line. He looks up the red Earth, has his line. Boom, Batman 66 is gone. Blinked out. So, and you have so much of these going through. Another one that happened in The Flash today was The Birds of Prey, the early 2000s TV show starring Ashley Scott, who was in the episode as Huntress, talking to Dina Meyer's Oracle, overcome, and her Earth gets destroyed. So it's very cool to see a lot of this stuff. So in the first episode, you do see the Quantum Tower. If you read the books, that's the safe haven. It wasn't in this. It popped up, but I guess they're not working in this. I guess they're not playing that angle, but it did work in the book. And that was a tower that could keep everything safe. So go through. They were trying to get everybody off of Earth 38, which is Supergirl's home planet, and Martian Manhunter and a bunch of other aliens on Earth gathered up billions of humans. I think out of the 7 billion on that planet, they gathered up like 3 or 4, something like that. So half the world's population. And they get them off the Earth just before. But to do that, because the Monitor's like, oh, I need you, and then he's taking all the heroes off the Earth before they blow up, and they're fighting like these matter ghosts type things, and then you have Oliver, who is in his Green Arrow outfit, and he's like, he had just given his daughter her own outfit because he's been training her, and he's like, you're gonna be Green Arrow now, blah blah blah. And then so he stays. He stops Monitor from taking him, and he's like, no, I got to keep fighting. And his fighting and the fact that he kept going saved like 1 billion people's lives, is what they said in the show. So, but he died, but he does get blinked out. The Monitor takes him, but he died. Like he does die in the episode. So it was very wild, especially considering the whole thing started with him. So. We go on, and we get to Smallville. Yes, they brought Smallville back. We got Tom Welling as Clark Kent and Erica Durance, who is on Supergirl. She plays Supergirl's mother on the show, so it was cool for her to come back, do a dual role type of thing, because her other character died. So why not come back, play Lois Lane one more time? So we get our heroes back. Who Tyler Hoechlin, who plays the Superman of Supergirl's Earth, is kind of helping out with things, and he and Lois, and they're all a part of the team, and they're going out and they're trying to stop all the other Supermen from dying. So they go to that Earth, and there's Tom Welling's Clark Kent chopping wood, and they can't understand why he's chopping wood. And then they're sent away real quick, and then John Cryer's Lex Luthor shows up, has some words with Tom Welling's character, finds out Tom Welling's Clark Kent gave up his powers to have kids with Lois and live on the farm, just live an easy life. And rather than kill him, because he says it's pretty boring at this point, took all the fun out of it, Lex Luthor leaves, and he's like, you guys are dead anyway. And he and Lois have a nice exchange, and then they walk away. So it's cool to see. I don't think that fits. I mean, I watched Smallville. I love Smallville. I watched all 10 years. Yeah, season 8 through season 9 and some of 10 was tough to watch. And trust me, there's some seasons that were just rough. But overall, I love the show. I loved him as Clark Kent. So to see that he gave it up to have kids, I mean, the whole thing was him accepting this responsibility, accepting who he was to become what he is, which is Superman. Like, this was his destiny. And the whole the final frame is like not the final frame, but the final sequence of the show is him accepting that destiny of this is who I am, this is who I need to be, and Lois accepting it in the whole nine. And he gave it up, and said that Earth's Lex Luthor is president. What? Like, I just it made no sense to me, and I get that Tom Welling didn't want to don the cape and have the S on his chest, but I don't think he needed to give up. I just didn't like the angle. It was cool to see him. It was cool to see the Kent farm. I didn't need to see him in a Superman outfit. I didn't need to see him come and help. I could understand him staying. You know, he'll accept his destiny. He'll accept him trying to save his Earth. But I didn't see him. I couldn't see him staying. You know, I could see him staying, but I couldn't see him just giving up his powers. I was kind of annoyed by that. I was kind of annoyed because of where the show left it, and I thought the show left it in the right place, and this kind of took it and said, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist anymore. It's blown. You know, antimatter is taken away. But regardless, I was kind of annoyed by that. But then move on. They get to Superman, and this is Christopher Reeve world. You know, and the reason being is played by Brandon Routh. But if you remember, again. I said this earlier. I'm saying it again. Kind of reiterate. He is that universe's Superman. So him playing it is still in line with everything. And he's playing Clark Kent, Superman. So they go see it. Now he is the editor-in-chief. You find out Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and Lois Lane, and a whole bunch of other people died. And it looks like the Joker, they didn't really get too involved, but they kind of hinted at it. The Joker gassed the building and killed everybody. I don't know where Superman was. They didn't say it. They just said that great loss came to him. This is a very interesting twist. He dons the Kingdom Come outfit. Lex Luthor shows up and kind of messes with, because now you have two Supermen there. You have Tyler Hoechling's character and Brandon Routh's Superman. And this is another sequence that kind of drove me nuts, but it was forgiven and taken away again. So you had Lex Luthor show up, this Book of Destiny thing, which was set up in Arrow a long time ago, but wasn't set up too well if you were just watching the crossover. So just know it was set up beforehand, before all of this. So he rewrites, or he mind controls somehow with Brandon Routh's Superman, and they fight. You have like kind of very poor visual effects shots. A fight in the middle of Metropolis between these two Supermen. But then in the end, you have he fights it. They knock Lex Luthor out. Lois and Iris, who's the Flash's wife, changed history, and he's back to being good again. And he is the paragon of truth. So they need his help, and they tell him, like, come help us, blah, blah, blah. This one was even harder than, like, Smallville, because it's Christopher Reeve world. He even mentions in it, I fought myself before, so I get it. And that's a callback to Superman 3. So, to see this, and to see his mind taken over, and then he's fighting another Superman, and it's kind of very quick, and how it all goes, it just didn't land for me, I guess, the way they were hoping it would. He looked very cool. I liked him in the outfit. He plays a good Superman. I liked him in Superman Returns. He was not what was wrong with Superman Returns. I very much enjoyed him as a continuation from the Christopher Reeve world. So, to see him come back and do it right again is great. An older Superman is a little more disgruntled, but overall is a paragon of truth. He is a good guy. Was very cool to see. He kept going in the story, so I forgave that. What I saw there. But just to kind of ruin this part for you. All the paragons towards the end. The last Earth is about to be destroyed. They get sent to like this vanishing point so they can survive, a place where the anti-monitor can't touch them. And you have Brandon Routh's character, who is the Christopher Reeve Superman from that world. He's there, and I am like, okay, great. You know, at least you have somebody who is as epic as need be to be in there, be in a DC TV show. Now, I understand they can't make a show about Superman, but you do have Superman there. I would have been fine even if he was the Paragon of Truth, because he is Superman, Tyler Hoechlin character. But you don't have Batman, you don't have Wonder Woman, and I'm going to get to that point. That's something I want to touch down on, but so he's there. All the other Paragons are there. And all of a sudden, it's very reminiscent of the Supergirl dead Superman holding her thing. He falls into Supergirl's arms, and like these light keeps bursting through him, and he like kind of fades away and turns into Lex Luthor. John Cryer, Lex Luthor. He's the only Lex Luthor in this, John Cryer. Everybody else is still canonical, which is awesome, like the Kevin Spacey, Gene Hackman, Michael Rosenbaum, but he is the Lex Luthor that you see through all this. So he shows up and they're like, how? Why? What are you doing here? And he took that Book of Destiny, and he basically said he's there to help them make sure they get out of the vanishing point, but he rewrote Destiny and made himself the Paragon of Truth. I was pissed. And that's how they ended this past episode for the mid-season finale. So pissed. I'm just going to say that. I was pissed. It did a disservice to Superman. That no Supermans are in it. No Supermans. It is the Paragon of Truth, and he rewrote it, so there's no Superman. Whatever. I don't want to rant on it too much, because I will just go on another hour rant about that. It already pissed me off that you have the Paragons, who are supposed to be these great heroes that are going to protect, and you don't have any of the top three in there. You have Batwoman. She's the Paragon of Courage, and I'll explain that one in a second. Don't get me started on that. You have her. You have Supergirl. You have Flash, but where's Wonder Woman? You get Linda Carter. Tie her in. Whatever. I'm just mad about it. Sorry. I can rant for days. I just think it was misshapen how they kind of did things. So, touched on Batman. Batwoman last night, her show. She and Supergirl go to get on Earth 99. They're looking for the Paragon, which is known to be a man of a bat, or someone who follows away the bat, or whatever they called it. And they go to this Earth, which is like the last Batman, I guess, that's left. Whatever. And they go to Wayne Manor. So they find it. Lucius Fox is there. The Batwoman character, Lucius Fox, is there. And Bruce is there, played by Kevin Conroy, which was awesome. And I thought he was because he had the kind of get up from Kingdom Come, but it seems like he's more the Dark Knight Returns Batman, which was interesting. He's very jaded, kind of dark. You find out that his fight with Superman was what put him in that exoskeleton. But you find out that he is not a Paragon. He is a stone cold killer. He's killed all his villains. He completely changed, and he's killed all his villains, and even Superman. And he's gone crazy. And then by the end of it, you find out, like, they kill him. She kicks him into, like, a generator or something, and he, like, electrocutes him, or however it works out. So Batman's dead. I guess that's all the Batmen are dead. And you find out she's the Paragon, not him. She's the last of the Bat family. Whatever. I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that if, like, he was like, you were always the best of us or whatever. But, like, you turned him into a villain. You turned Batman into a villain in a show that is gathering the greatest of heroes in based on possibly the biggest crossover event in comics history, and you relegate him to a villain, not even a side role, a villain. And oh man, I was just oh my god, I was just mad about all of this. I'm gonna stick with it. Another thing is Oliver Queen is gonna become Spectre now, because they do go to a few of them wind up going to try and save him. His daughter, Dina Lance, and Ray Palmer. Maybe not Ray Palmer. I can't remember which character goes with them. Oh, Flash. Flash goes with them. They go to bring him to a Lazarus pit to wake him up. And I'm like, dude just made an ultimate sacrifice. Was the true hero. And now they're just going to stick him in a Lazarus pit. So he comes back all crazy with no soul. Which is what was set up on Arrow in the first place. So then they go, and now this was pretty cool in this episode. They grab John Constantine. They're like, all right, we got to get his soul back. He's like, all right, we got to go to Purgatory. I can't do this. I can't get us there. We have to go see somebody. They go see Tom Ellis's Lucifer, who, as we know, he had his own comic run, but he was Lucifer in the Sandman. So, and he's got it was on Fox, and now it's a popular Netflix show. It's a great show. Check it out. They go up. They see Lucifer. My wife's watching this with me, and she freaks out because she loves Lucifer. And she's like, he's in this? And I had to explain how he's in the DC universe, and this is how it works. And they get a Purgatory card from him. So it was very rad. That was my favorite part so far. I love that they had 89 Batman and then killed it. And then they, you see 66 Batman. You see all of this stuff. And you get to see Lucifer. Now, I'm saving the iconic ending for last because it was kind of emotional, and I did like how they did this. Out of everything, I did like this. So in tonight's episode of The Flash, you had The Flash go with Cisco, Vibe, and Killer Frost, and Pariah to this, who's played by, why am I losing it? Tom Cavanaugh. So they go and they find the machine, of course, the treadmill machine that is acting as the Anti-Monitor's cannon, who's destroying it. They get in there and you see John Wesley Shipp's Flash, Barry Allen Flash from Earth 99, or Earth 90 rather, running on it because he's trapped. The Anti-Monitor's been using him. And he's basically powering up this machine. Black Lightning comes out, helps to kind of not destroy, but he's like holding down the machine. After they get John Wesley Shipp's Flash out, he's holding down the machine from it going haywire and destroying everything all at once. So because there was a failsafe in it. So he's providing the power so that way it can keep going and not just destroy everything. So they have a talk. Now it's been let on for a long time that Flash was going to vanish. And he's been coming to terms with this for like 6 or 7 years of the show. That he will vanish in the Crisis. And we all know, if we read Crisis of Infinite Earths, the Flash Barry Allen dies. He goes away. So he's about to step on because he realizes he's the one who has to do it. And John Wesley Shipp's Flash from the 1990 TV show goes and steals his power. He realizes like it's a temporary thing. It's just a trick I learned. Steals his power, gets on the treadmill, and you have the iconic image of him running until he dissipates, and he's gone. It was pretty epic. They do a quick flashback to the old TV show where he's talking to Iris in the old show. And it was pretty touching. And it rounded out that show. Like that never had a true ending. So it's cool that this could give him an ending, like a closure, his character closure. And then you go on and there's that sadness. And like I said, they go on from there. But, and I have already explained like the ending where they end up in the vanishing point. But overall, I'm going to need to see some things that really make this worthwhile. I got 2 episodes left. Man, why could you not add Wonder Woman? And don't give me the stuff about the movie. You added so much. You could have done it. And maybe you will. Maybe you'll get Linda Carter in the next 2 episodes, but still, she should have been there from the beginning. She should have been there from the beginning. I'm sorry. You're talking about these paragons. She deserves to be one of them. You know, she deserves to be the paragon of destiny, or the paragon of truth, and more Superman for truth, or courage. You know, I'm mad she's not a part of it. And if you weren't going to give me her, where's Aquaman? You know, where's he? As much as you want to make fun of Aquaman, dude's king of the ocean. You're going to tell me he's the type of hero that's not a paragon in something like this? Whatever. I was kind of annoyed by it. And then getting rid of Superman. Just getting rid of Superman, making him a paragon, adding to the fan service, and then taking him away. I understand that you have to tell these tales, you have to let these shows go, and you have to let the stars be the stars. But that's not what this was. That's not what this should have been. Just kill them off then, and then just let the stars be the stars. I'm, as a fan of DC for a very long time, I didn't love it. But I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited that Oliver's going to be Spectre. I want to see what happens. So I will continue the last 2 episodes, and then I'm going to review those on that Scene Snobs episode, and I'm going to do probably a special review of everything that happened once it's all done. So, and kind of revisit it, and I'm going to try and get a panel to come in and do that with me. So, that being said, that's all I want to get into before I get even more of a headache. But, you know, I think I've gone on long enough. But that's the show. So do me a favor, check out those shows. Come back to me. Check out anything I talked about tonight. Come back to me. I want to hear what you guys thought. So, you know, message me, or if you have any special requests for things you want me to review or check out or whatever, message me or comment, you know. But make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube, the YouTube channel, the Scene Snobs YouTube channel. So subscribe there. Like us on Facebook at the Scene Snobs. At the Scene Snob at Instagram and Twitter, where we have all our news and stuff coming out, or what's coming up and things like that. Have a lot of great reviews coming in, and interviews coming in next year. Some filmmakers, things like that. So definitely keep in touch. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think. I'm very excited about everything. TheSceneSnobs.com. That's the home to everything. You go and check everything out there. So. Like I said, TheSceneSnobs.com, that's about it. And I will catch you guys next week. Make sure you check out on Thursday. We're going to have an all-new episode of A Marriage Like That podcast with me and Mrs. Scene Snob. And we just did a new episode of 20-Minute Wrestling podcast that came out on Monday. All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys listening, and take care.